The Middle East is once again embroiled in a fierce and perilous conflict, a situation that has become all too familiar over the decades. The violence erupted suddenly, shattering any semblance of peace that had been painstakingly built. The echoes of explosions and the sight of devastated buildings are a grim reminder of the fragility of stability in this region. Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah are locked in a deadly struggle, each side entrenched in their positions, unwilling to back down. The intensity of their confrontations has escalated, drawing in more resources and lives with each passing day. The situation is volatile and unpredictable, with tensions running high and the potential for further escalation ever present. Military vehicles patrol the streets, and clashes between protesters and security forces add to the chaos. The world watches with bated breath, fearing a wider conflagration that could engulf neighboring countries and destabilize the entire region. Global leaders are in constant discussion, trying to navigate the complexities of this crisis. The roots of the conflict run deep, fueled by decades of animosity and mistrust. Historical grievances and long-standing border disputes have created a powder keg, ready to ignite at any moment. The most recent chapter began with a surprise attack, a stark reminder of the region's volatility. Civilians were caught off guard, their lives upended in an instant, highlighting the ever-present danger they live with. The international community scrambles to contain the violence, but a lasting solution remains elusive. Diplomatic efforts are underway, with emergency meetings and negotiations, yet the path to peace is fraught with challenges. The outcome of this conflict will have profound implications for the Middle East and the world. Experts analyze the geopolitical landscape, predicting various scenarios, each with significant consequences for global stability and security. On October 7, 2023, Hamas launched a massive surprise attack on Israel. The assault came without warning, catching Israel off guard. Hamas militants stormed across the border from Gaza, targeting Israeli towns and military installations. Simultaneously, a barrage of rockets rained down on Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. The attack caused widespread panic and chaos. Israeli civilians caught in the crossfire desperately sought shelter. The death toll mounted quickly, with both civilians and soldiers among the casualties. Israel, stunned by the audacity and ferocity of the attack, vowed swift and decisive retaliation. As Israel grappled with the Hamas offensive, another threat emerged from the north. Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed Shiite militia based in Lebanon, unleashed its own barrage of rockets into Israel. The attacks, while initially limited, opened a second front in the conflict, stretching Israel's defenses thin. Hezbollah's entry into the fray significantly escalated the conflict. The group possesses a vast arsenal of rockets and missiles, capable of striking deep inside Israel. Furthermore, Hezbollah's close ties to Iran raised the specter of a wider regional war. Israel now faced a two-front war against determined and well-armed adversaries. Iran's fingerprints are evident throughout the conflict. Tehran provides both Hamas and Hezbollah with substantial financial, military, and logistical support. Iran's backing enables these groups to pose a credible threat to Israel. Their actions serve Iran's interests in weakening Israel and destabilizing the region. While Iran denies direct involvement in the fighting, its support for Hamas and Hezbollah is undeniable. Iran's leaders have openly praised the attacks on Israel and vowed to continue supporting their resistance allies. Israel accuses Iran of orchestrating the conflict and threatens to retaliate against Iranian assets if attacked. Section 5. The world reacts, condemnation and calls for restraint. The international community has reacted to the conflict with a mixture of condemnation and calls for restraint. Leaders from various nations have voiced their concerns, emphasizing the need for a peaceful resolution to the ongoing violence. The United States, Israel's staunch ally, has expressed unwavering support for Israel's right to defend itself. American officials have reiterated their commitment to Israel's security, while also urging caution to avoid further escalation. European nations have condemned Hamas's attacks while urging both sides to exercise restraint. The European Union has called for an immediate halt to hostilities and stressed the importance of protecting civilian lives. Russia and China, permanent members of the UN Security Council, have called for an immediate ceasefire and a return to negotiations. Both countries have emphasized the need for dialogue and diplomacy to resolve the conflict. The Arab League, deeply divided over the conflict, has struggled to formulate a unified response. Some member states have condemned the violence, while others have expressed support for the Palestinian cause, highlighting the complexity of regional politics. Diplomatic efforts to broker a ceasefire are underway, but a lasting solution seems distant. Despite numerous attempts at mediation, the path to peace remains fraught with challenges, and the international community continues to watch closely. Section 6. A heavy toll, casualties, displacement, and despair. The conflict has already claimed the lives of thousands of people. Civilians on both sides bear the brunt of the violence. Hospitals struggle to cope with the influx of casualties. The streets are littered with rubble, a testament to the destructive power of modern warfare. The conflict has triggered a humanitarian crisis, particularly in Gaza. The densely populated enclave, already suffering from years of blockade, faces shortages of food, water, and medical supplies. The displacement of thousands of people adds to the misery. The psychological scars of the conflict will linger long after the fighting ends. Section 7. Charting the course. Possible trajectories of the conflict. The conflict's trajectory remains uncertain, with several possible outcomes. One possibility is a negotiated ceasefire, leading to a fragile truce and a return to the status quo. However, given the deep mistrust and animosity, such a ceasefire is likely to be temporary. Another scenario is a protracted war of attrition, with neither side able to achieve a decisive victory. This outcome would result in continued bloodshed and instability, with the potential to spill over into neighboring countries. The most dangerous scenario is a regional war, with Iran directly intervening. Section 8. The imperative of victory. Why Israel must prevail. The stakes in this conflict are incredibly high. The very survival of the nation is at risk, and the consequences of failure are dire. For Israel, it is an existential struggle. The threat is not just to its borders, but to its very existence as a nation and a people. A victory for Hamas or Hezbollah would embolden these groups and other terrorist organizations, destabilizing the region and threatening Israel's security. It would also inspire similar movements worldwide, creating a ripple effect of violence and instability. Israel must prevail to protect its citizens and deter future attacks. The safety of millions depends on the strength and resolve of the Israeli Defense Forces. An Israeli victory is also crucial for regional stability. It would pave the way for peace and cooperation in a region long plagued by conflict. The defeat of Hamas and Hezbollah would weaken Iran's grip on the region and diminish its ability to project power. This would significantly alter the balance of power in the Middle East. It would send a clear message that terrorism and aggression will not be tolerated. The international community must stand united against these threats. The alternative is unthinkable. A Middle East consumed by chaos and violence. The cost of inaction is too high, and the world cannot afford to ignore the stakes.